Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here for the 8th Ref Appeals Committee meeting. We're waiting for some of our committee members to join the meeting. Thank you for being here. Thank you all so much for your patience. We're waiting on one more committee member to join. You can turn off your cameras in the meantime if you do wish to. Thank you. Okay, may I ask all the other committee members to open their cameras?
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, thank you so much. I will start the recording now. Okay, hi everyone. The time is 2:08 p.m. and the meeting of the 8th Ref Appeals Committee is called to order. We will now call the roll. Member Catanese,
Here.
Dr. Hagerman,
Here.
Dr. Clay.
Here.
This committee has a quorum. These board members represent all members of the committee as appointed by the board. Could everyone else please identify themselves, starting with board staff and then department staff?
Sean Ross, Executive Director, Arizona State Board of Education.
Jessica Mueller, Policy and Research Administrator, State Board of Education. And Bruce?
Bruce Duplany, Deputy Director, State Board of Education.
Sean Smith, Chief Accountability Officer for the Arizona Department of Education.
Bethany Spangenberg, Deputy Associate Superintendent of Assessment for the Department of Education.
Thank you. And then we have our minute taker from the State Board of Education. So it's noted that this meeting is being conducted by Zoom and in person at our State Board office. And it's being live streamed over YouTube and recorded. And want to thank you all for being here and your patience in getting started. So as a reminder, this committee is meeting because schools can file an appeal of their overall 8th Ref letter grade as outlined in Arizona Revised Statute 15241, subsection J. The process does not consider changes to underlying data, only the summative letter grade that is assigned to the school. The committee will vote on recommendations for the board to consider for letter grade appeal applications received for the 24-25 school year. Appeals range from adverse testing conditions, school or community events or emergencies, school tragedy, incorrect data, or some possible combination of those. The window for appeal applications was when the letter grades were released, October 29th through November 17th, 2025. The committee previously met to review appeals on December 15th, 2025, and the board took action on those recommendations on January 26, 2026. Thank you all for coming back again. The schedule for today includes expedited appeals. Expedited appeals are paper review only, and that is based on the documentation submitted by the school and anything else that is added to the record after the appeal is submitted. Information is on the executive summary sheet that we post on our Assembly, and then the committee members have the full appeal applications and supporting documents. And so then, are there any questions at this moment? Okay, I'm hearing none. Today's items will be taken as a consent agenda. The draft recommendations for these appeals are listed on the agenda item and on the executive summary sheet. The committee may accept, modify, reject, or table the recommendation. It will be important that if the committee modifies or rejects the recommendation, for members to specifically state the reason for the change in action in order to create records. The committee can discuss today's appeal items if they have any questions of staff from the board or the Department of Education, or wish to hold a discussion amongst themselves. If it's determined that the committee would like to ask further questions of the school, I would advise that the item be tabled for a future 8th Ref Appeals Committee meeting. The committee's recommendations made today will go before the full State Board of Education for final action at the February 23rd, 2026 board meeting. And so the first category is adverse testing conditions, which reflect disruptions to student testing due to unpredictable, unpreventable circumstances that had a negative impact on student performance. So with us today, so kindly, is Deputy Associate Superintendent for Assessment, Bethany Spangenberg. So Bethany, I just wanted to give you an opportunity if there's anything else you wanted to say about testing conditions and issues with testing.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, we do have a process for submitting test irregularities. So if anything does happen during the test window, that is, a little bit unusual that could impact student scores. We just want to make sure that everybody is aware that your district test coordinator should be submitting those test irregularities. That does provide additional evidence for something that may have interrupted testing and impacts the scores. And as we get through to the appeals, that is evidence that we can share with the committee to make sure that that we provide the evidence of what actually happened during those test those testing activities. So it's just really good documentation for us to be able to maintain and to be able to explain a little bit and confirm any of those requests.
Okay, thank you so much, Bethany. So the other categories that I would like to give an opportunity for the department to speak to is incorrect data. And this might reflect gaps or differences in the calculations. And so with us today is the Chief Accountability Officer, Sean Smith.
Thank you, Jessica. So yes, incorrect data appeals primarily hinge on, as Jessica mentioned, places where there's verifiable differences in the data, or a calculation may have been done incorrectly. At times, we'll discuss items where there's a concern of, did the calculations get the right result? And but typically those we handle in business rules in a following year so that we can apply them uniformly to the whole system.
Yeah, do you want to take a moment to just preview a few of those business rules that'll be under review for the next school year? We'll have that on our February 23rd board meeting agenda, but I know it could be good information for anybody tuning into the committee today.
Sure. Probably the main one would be rounding. That was an issue that affected several schools. And so, again, during the appeals window, that's something that if we were to change would affect a lot of schools positively, but potentially a lot of schools negatively. So that's something we typically review and then handle in business rules. So we're going to look at some rounding rules for the upcoming business rules where we can take a consistent approach that would affect all schools and adjust some of those rounding concerns.
Okay, thank you so much. So at this time, if committee members have any questions or concerns with the draft recommendations, we would ask that you pull those schools from the consent agenda now for discussion. And so I'll pause and allow you to identify if there are any schools you'd like to pull from a consent agenda. Seeing some heads nod and no one is speaking up, I will move forward with requesting a motion from the committee. And so the committee would seek a motion to approve items 2A1 through 2A4, 2B1 through 2B5, 2B7 and 2B8, 2C2 and 2C3, 2E1 through 2E3, 2E5 and 2E6, 2F1 and 2G1 through 2G8 as presented. Does the committee have a motion in that regard?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, first from Dr. Hagerman, second from Member Catanese. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we know that that is 3 of our members, so there are none opposed. So at that time, this concludes our A through F Appeals Committee. These recommendations will be provided to the board for the February 23rd board meeting, where they will be considered for final action. The committee's next meeting may consist of some combination of expedited appeals and non-expedited appeals. If the committee determines that a non-expedited appeal is requested, the schools will be asked to address the committee members' questions and the application materials in a discussion. Schools be notified of the expedited or non-expedited status of the appeal application with guidance to attend the meeting either through Zoom if it's necessary due to location, or in Phoenix in our boardroom, hopefully. And so at this time, are there any questions?
No question. I just want to thank you and everyone from ADE. I thought that the documents are really clear and really helpful to kind of understand the context of some of the concerns. So that was thank you for your work.
Thank you. So the committee will stand adjourned at 2:17 p.m. until it reconvenes for a future A through F Appeals Committee to consider the remaining applications from the 24-25 school year. I would echo Dr. Hagerman's appreciation for everyone and the efforts they put in to review the appeal applications and to do the work to build out any of the supporting evidence.